The jury in that trial will soon consider whether Dean goes to prison after they convicted him yesterday of manslaughter. This is the first time that's ever happened to an on-duty police officer there in Tarrant County. Now, this video here just into the newsroom shows jailers booking Aaron Dean into the county jail. He spent the night there last night in Fort Worth after that guilty verdict was announced. He faces anywhere from probation to 20 years in prison after his conviction of manslaughter. But less than an hour ago, inside the courtroom, take a look at what happened here.
Are you going to take that oath? No. All right. You are on bond on some cases, is that correct? Those bonds are being declared insufficient, Sheriff.
What's going on?
This all happened within the last hour. WFAA senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez was inside the courtroom when the bailiffs arrested this witness. It's unclear exactly what he was going to testify to in the trial, but when the judge asked him there to raise his right hand to be sworn in, he refused. Here's why, though, he was taken into custody, in case you couldn't hear the judge. Turns out this witness was already out on bond for another charge, and by Texas law, if you refuse a judge's order, the judge can then revoke your bond and send you back to jail. But that wasn't the most surprising thing that happened today. This trial judge has ordered Fort Worth Mayor Matty Parker there on the right and City Councilman Chris Nettles on the left. He ordered them both to appear before him in court. The judge said he thinks that Mayor Parker and Councilman Nettles might have violated the judge's gag order in this case when both of those city officials released statements yesterday after the conviction. Mayor Parker and Councilman Nettles must appear in court and answer to the judge January 4th at noon. First, though, let's talk about how we got here, how this whole case developed. It goes back to 2019 when a neighbor called police concerned about an open door at Atatiana-Jefferson's home in the middle of the night. Body camera video here shows Dean walk to the back of the house. He never announced himself as a police officer before shooting Jefferson through a bedroom window. Dean testified saying he thought burglars were in the home. Jurors, though, decided that he did act reckless, and they settled on a lesser charge of manslaughter. The jury is made up of 7 men and 5 women. Most are white, several are minorities, but none of them are black. Jurors deliberated for 13 hours before settling on that guilty verdict. William Joy is one of our reporters covering this trial for us in Fort Worth. William, any indication on how long the sentencing phase might last?
Well, Jason, just a few moments ago, both the defense and the prosecution wrapped up in their punishment phase, their cases in this trial. Next, on 9 a.m. on Monday, the jury will start back at it. We'll get the closing arguments, and then they'll start deliberating the actual sentencing phase. As we just talked about, Dean has already been found guilty of manslaughter. So at this point, there is still a wide range, though, of outcomes, everything from probation to 20 years in prison. You played that booking video. Dean spent last night in jail. He started this morning back in court for this punishment phase. Witnesses today, though, aren't talking about the crime. Instead, they're talking about what kind of person Dean is, trying to convince the jury to issue a harsher or lighter sentence. The state called a psychologist who did Dean's psych evaluation before he became a Fort Worth officer. He said that Dean was narcissistic and not suitable to serve as an officer. They also called up Liz Turner, who shared how Dean grabbed her and touched her breast when they were both students at UTA.
He took his finger and he placed it on my right breast, and he traced the outline of my breast with his hand on my body, touching me over my shirt. I spoke up at that point and said, "This is very inappropriate. You're making me uncomfortable."
The prosecution also called Jefferson's older brother, Adarius, who's in the Navy, and shared how he got the news that she'd been killed and that Jefferson's life was all about family, becoming a doctor. Dean's team called 2 people that he went to church with who called him noble, a leader, a servant. Then Dean's sister, brother, and mother all got up on the stand and described him as smart and a hard worker.
He told us he wanted to do it because he wanted to make a difference in people's lives and to help people.
You talked about those city officials who were have a show cause hearing in January to avoid being held in contempt of court. We're told that there could be more people coming as well. And as far as the man arrested, a little bit of context we got right at the end of the day today is that he may have been outside the courthouse yesterday after the verdict and yelling at Dean's family as they were walking away to get into their car and leave. Live in Fort Worth, I'm William Joy.
William, thanks for that context. Good stuff there. You know, we are live streaming gavel-to-gavel coverage of the trial right now with WFAA's Tanya Eiserer. It is streaming on WFAA.com, on our YouTube channel, as well as WFAA Plus, which is on Roku.